Okay, so hello everybody. I'll just wait a couple of seconds while everyone's joining, but thank you for joining this session. I'm happy to introduce Dr. Jagadeesh Gandla. He is a well-known member of the alumni community, as I said earlier. He used to be part of our alumni board, and now he's a freelancer working in business development for an EIT Health, previously EIT Health supported startup. And he's going to host a session on how to boost your CV, really, how to tailor it, how to kind of change different parts of it to kind of better suit the needs of the employers and how to kind of get a step up above the competition. So I'll give it over to him to kind of lead you through the workshop.
Great.
Thank you,
Robin.
Jagadeesh.
Yeah, thanks to Miriam, Robin, and Liana for giving me this opportunity. So let me share my screen. Robin, you guys see my screen?
I see the presentation. Yeah.
Now you see the presentation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Yes.
Great.
Full screen.
Great. So good evening, everyone. I think everybody are in Europe, right? So it's all good evening. And today I'm gonna share a couple of insights what I learned. To write my own CV, I struggled quite a lot. I think in 2011 I started writing my CV, and afterwards so many iterations, and also trained a couple of individuals. Today we'll share a couple of nuggets about what is CV, and also what is resume. For most of the people, they don't know what is CV and what is resume. And also we will explore a little bit of elements like what to be there in CV or what to be in resume, and also do's and don'ts and some kind of networking tips that we don't have much of the session. Usually I take these 2 hours of session, but today we'll just rush through within half an hour or maybe in 20 minutes, and then if there are any questions, I will be happy to answer. So maybe I would also like to ask you, what are your expectations? Maybe you can just type in the chat. Any expectations people would like to, what would you like to learn? Get a job with my new awesome CV. Okay. Changing CV from academia to industry. Very good, Liana. Great. I'll try to cover that. So a disclaimer before we jump into the lecture: I'm not a HR guy, so I'm a pure biologist. I'm trained as a PhD, then worked for EIT Health, and now I have my own startup, also working as a business developer for other company. I'm not a recruiter as well. I kind of recruited a couple of people in my startup, so I saw a lot of CVs. And one thing that I want to tell you is that whatever I tell you today, it may not be applicable to you. Every CV is unique, and this lecture is purely educational purpose. And also one more disclaimer that I want to make is some slides have lots of text. I usually prefer to have white slides with very less text, but today you'll have a lot of text because that's how these things are. Who am I? I took this LinkedIn picture, just put it here. I'm a freelance healthcare consultant. I work for a company called Extra Horizon. I'm a startup scout, and I'm an ex-European Union, ex-EIT Health employee. I built a couple of companies, and I trained nearly 3,000 individuals on CVs, LinkedIn's, how to do interviews and everything. I'm also ex-EIT Health board member, as Robin said. I worked in accelerator of EIT Health before, and now I'm building a company called Global Life Science and Healthcare Network. It's a platform where life science students get trained on life skills, and also healthcare startups get trained on a couple of elements. I found a couple of institutions like Dare to Start or Indian Empowerment Network, and I'm also mentor at German Entrepreneurship. And the main job now I have is a business developer at a company called Extra Horizon. It's also an EIT Health company. So before we jump into the elements of CV, first you need to go into this mindset of making CV. So CV is kind of, it's your autobiography where you put it in a document. And here in this culture, you see that a beautiful a person is coming out from by taking off the mud from outside. So it's really the mindset. I know many people, especially in the life sciences field, they don't have the skill set to make a good CV, even though they have beautiful experience. Some have like 20 publications, 25 publications, but they just don't know how to make it. So what I request everybody is to really have this mindset where the beauty of yourself has to come into this document. So this picture clearly explain, like, once you get rid of the dirt, the beauty comes out. So have this mindset. And So now let's look into what is a CV. CV, the abbreviation is curriculum vitae. In Latin, it means the course of life. As I said, it's like an autobiography, like a professional autobiography. It's a document in print or online. Most of the time nowadays, it's online. Print, we rarely are sending it. And the CV should have achievements, awards, honors, publications, universities, etc. So it will have a lot of content, and like mainly the difference between CV and resume is the length. So it's more than one page, but limited to 12 pages. I even saw a CV which is 25 pages. Some academics will have that. And resume is mostly about work history and experiences. So there will be a little bit of differences and a brief summary of your skills and education. So please remember the word brief, and it's a single page. Sometimes even 2 pages is considered as resume. So the difference between CV and resume is just the length. Resume is length is short, and content all inclusive summary of skills, experience, and education. And why you need a resume is to get an interview for an employment. And the CV is like sometimes 12 pages or sometimes as long as it takes. And the content is like area specific listing of education and academic background. And why do you need a CV? It's mainly, academics use CV, or sometimes jobs also use CV. And it's mainly for the promotion, tenure, or grant, specialist positions and awards, etc. And I also saw that in Europe, my experience in Europe, mostly we apply through CVs for jobs, but in US mostly they use resume. So these are the things that to be remembered. And also, whatever I tell today, it's not something, the rules are not set in stone. So there are multiple types, multiple styles. You could just basically just get the basic format from today, but afterwards you make your own thing. So every CV, it's as a picture says, like one size doesn't fit all. So every CV is unique. So, what is the purpose of CV of a resume or a resume? So, to inform the employer about your education, work experience, skills, capabilities, accolades, and interests. So, it's like for somebody whom you don't know, or the future employer, that's they just once they go through the document, they understand who you are and where you come from. It's basically to sell yourself. It's like a brochure for yourself, as a beautiful document, or like a paper which explains who you are, and to basically persuade the employer to invite you to the interview. So CV helps you to get into the interview, and afterwards it's all about your personal language skills or any other skills that you prove in the interview. So until you go to the interview, CV is a document that you need to prepare for. So it's a documented proof to show how you are a right fit to the job or even to the position. And when to use a CV or a resume, it depends on the job advertisement. So some people have CVs, some people have resumes, then they will be confused, and like to apply for any position, they just send the CV or resume. But sometimes, especially as I said, for the US companies, they use resume quite a lot. So try to look at the job ad, what they're asking for, and then apply based on that. So now let's dwell a bit into the CV. So what are the elements of a CV? I have other slides as well, like to really go in depth of everything. Elements of a CV is that first you have address, education, experience, fellowships. So people whoever don't have any notes, you can just feel free to take screenshots of it, or just take pictures, or otherwise I'm also happy to send the slides later. So fellowships, scholarships, additional qualification certificates, computer proficiency. This kind of nowadays getting really popular, especially with the data sciences and machine learning, artificial intelligence skill set, and any other technical expertise, any other important things, and references. And the resume, so if you see, like the CV is a bit longer and resume is a bit shorter, like address, summary, education. So summary plays a big role in the resume because that kind of summarizes what you are. Education, employment history, hobbies and interests, professional skills, maybe disclaimer and signature. Some people prefer to have these things and some not. So it really depends on your own area where you apply for. And also, this is one type of question that I people ask all the time: do we need to have a picture on your thing? So it's optional. I mean, in Germany at least, we have pictures, but in countries maybe in India, or we don't really prefer to have pictures, or if you have it, but I mean, there's no wrong in having it, but when you use it, use high quality. So when you really screw up with your profile picture, that's like the first impression is the best impression. And when you screw up, so people already get an impression that it's not good. So I mean, you don't need to be serious, you can cheer, you can smile. And when you get a professional picture, ask professional help. So don't just get you with your mobile, or maybe when you even if you get with your mobile, but get it really, in a good format. And also something that people have to think is that whenever you apply for job, especially in the bigger companies, it's not the job recruiter who's looking at your CV, it's a HR, human resources. So they usually, I mean, I got to know from many HRs that they are just so focused on the job ad, and they just look at the keywords, whether the things are matching in the job description, in the CV with the job description. Then they will basically send you to the next round of the interview. So and also there is another thing called an application tracking system, which you need to keep in mind, especially when you apply for the bigger companies. So like for the bigger companies like Roche, or maybe any other Boehringer Ingelheim or any other company, they, when they post one job ad, there will be like thousands of CVs that comes. So at that time, for humans to look at all the CV, it's really difficult process. That's why they employ some kind of softwares. These are called as ATS, and these softwares usually pick the CVs based on the keywords. And also try to understand the recruitment process. It's like when you apply, the machines will pick it. Then afterwards, once the picked, HR will look into it. Then after the HR, your CV will be forwarded to the direct recruiter. So this is the typical recruitment process in the big companies, but in the smaller companies it could be completely different. So people will have time to read your CVs. So these things one has to really look, because machines are nowadays are there everywhere, especially with the evolution of artificial intelligence. Your CVs will be read by the machines first. And the CVs are always not to be documents. It could be video CVs. And recently I was looking into some of the hackathons. They were asking video CVs, like people were, where you could express yourself in the video, so that they immediately understand who you are, where you come from, what kind of ethnicity you have, and all the things. Or audio CVs or graphic CVs. So graphic CVs, if you are a graphic designer, I think your graphic CV is the best, that people can see your work. And also I have a friend who is a designer, and his CV is actually a website. So in his website, he have listed all his designs, what he designed, like especially the industrial designer. So he and for him it was so easy to portray his work. So if you have extra talents, show them. So like I mean, it doesn't need to be, so the CV is not all the time set in stone. So it's all about how you impress the recruiter. So, as I said, there will be a lot of text in the coming slides. So, it's your CV. So, only time it's all about you. So, when you make this document, I mean, especially in the life sciences, who are high-profile scientists or something, they sometimes struggle to boast themselves. But the thing is, in CV, you need to boast yourself. It's not boasting. You need to list your things. So, CVs are an opportunity to show an employer why you are an ideal candidate for the job. So it's all about expressing yourself and being showing that you are the best. So a good CV will stand out from the crowd. Okay, if there are like 100 CVs, if it is your CV that has to be the best, then you need to show it somehow, why it is the best. So it's like drawing attention to your relevant skills, experience, achievements, and potential, and also creating such an impression on the employer that they will not be able to turn you down for the interview. So I mean, my urge to everybody is like, really focus on your CV, because if you don't have time, or if you don't focus on it, no, you may not be picked up by the right job. And it's just because of your patience, or just lack of skill set. But really focus on making your this document so powerful, so catchy, that people have to pick you up. And also, everybody has the potential to make good CVs. It's just a matter of time. You need to devote a little bit of time, and then you will make a good CV. So everyone has more skills than they think they do. So I mean, as I said, I trained thousands of individuals on CVs. And when you talk to them, they think they don't have any skills. But when you talk to them like 1 or 2 hours, they will have so many skills, and which will go into the CV, and actually needed for the company. So everyone can write a good CV. So these are the three things that one has to remember. You have the potential to write a good CV. You have more skills than you think, and you can write a good CV. Okay, do's in CV. So use a standard font like Arial or Calibri. Try to keep it simple. Be honest. Like don't lie, or don't overboost. Include recent and relevant work experience. It could be voluntary as well, or it could be paid experience. Be consistent your layout and style. List your skills, achievements, and back up with evidence. So this is very important. With the evidence, don't fake it. Like I mean, we have this proverb, right? Fake it until you make it. But in CVs, it may not be true, because in interview, people can easily identify whether you have the skill set or not. Keep it short, maximum 2 to 3 pages, or 5 pages if it is a CV. Don't go beyond that, because people don't have patience to read if it is more than 5 pages, I would say. And these verbs are very important, like positive action verbs, like I organized, delivered, accomplished, achieved. So it's all about results, like what have you achieved, what have you delivered. And also try to include a statement about your career aspirations and what you have to offer the employer. So this is optional. Yeah, I mean, it would be good if you have it, because immediately people understand that you are like 10 years experienced professional, trying to do something. Be honest but positive. So negatives can also be turned into positives. So if you, even though if you have negatives, but you can turn it into positives, like your weaknesses can be portrayed as strengths by just applying it to different scenarios. The main thing what I would recommend everybody is check your spelling, punctuation, grammar, and meaning. So if you are not serious, it's clearly shown in terms of, the format of the CV or the punctuation or the spelling. And otherwise, you can ask your friends or somebody who is like a natives. You can ask them to check it for you. They'll happily do it for you. In the CV, what you have to somehow show is like you are a go-getter. And sometimes if the job requires as a team player, you need to show that you are a team player by giving relevant examples, result and process oriented person. So in the end, CVs are the templates where you show that you are go-getter for the job that is advertised. And the don'ts. So what are the don'ts that I saw in many CVs, and what you should try to avoid? At least you are getting trained here. So don't do it in a rush. Like if the job is tomorrow, like if the deadline is tomorrow, don't wait it until tomorrow. Like tomorrow morning or something. Just try to do it now. Take your time. Remember, this is your own sculpture, so you are molding. If you do it in rush, you may do mistakes. And also leaving gaps in the employment. So if it is little gap like 1 or 2 years, it's fine. But if it is too much, somehow show them that what you did in this gap. And don't ever lie in the CV. We I saw many examples in the academia. People write what kind of techniques that they know, but once you really give them work, and they can't do it. And especially with these digital skills, like people are getting trained on Coursera and some things. They just have all the certificates, but the thing is, you're not sure whether they have the experience or not. Include irrelevant personal details such as marital status and children. I mean, this is a bit sensitive topic. I'm not an expert in this. Nowadays, when I applied, people asked about my marital status and children. But for women, this may not be relevant, because we saw many of the issues that why should an employer should know these things. And also, don't simply write a list of duties under work experience. Remember, you are selling yourself. Don't use flashy or large font, because this will distract the person. And the important thing to remember is that this is the first impression an employer you will have on you. So the employer will have the first impression. So make sure that this is your marketing brochure, and you are selling it yourself. Okay. And as I said, there is no single way to write CV. It's your document and can be structured and presented as you wish within a basic framework. So the frameworks are, like as I said, like the font style, and also that not to have flashy and everything. So these are the frameworks that you take it, but and then you design your CV. Okay, some tips for a good CV, which I think, I mean, if possible, use some softwares like Adobe InDesign. I mean, I use Adobe InDesign and any other document editor. And there is this proverb, KISS, keep it stupid simple. You don't need to complicate it. Keep it clear, well organized, have some white space, like don't overcrowd your CV. Keep it concise, relevant, and necessary. Like remove the junk which is not necessary for the position you are applying for. Keep it complete, include everything you need. Come and be consistent with the styles, with the fonts. Don't mix up with the things, and keep it currently up to date. Yeah. So I have a couple of slides. Like I'll wind up in next 2 minutes. So what should be on CV? Like start with contact information, full name, permanent mailing address, an email address that won't expire. So this is very important, and also the phone numbers, nationality and visa status. At least for the international students who are applying here, make sure that you put that on the CV, because this is where many people are getting rejected, because most of the companies are not interested in providing visas. And also they need to know your status, so put it there. And again, starts with education. So some people start with experience, but you can also start with education, honors and awards, experience, publications and presentations, extracurricular and voluntary experience, certifications and licenses, professional affiliations, professional activities, research, and added qualification, maybe references as well. Yeah, before applying to a job, no, now we are kind of done with the CV. So these are the things to be done. But the CV, as I said, is for applying for a job. This is a document. But before you apply, make a tailor-made CV for the position. So research the company, like what is the company about and why you are a good fit, and also check if they have any mission statement or core values. Whether what will they be looking in you? Like you put yourself in the shoes of a recruiter and then see like whether if you are in their position, would you hire yourself, what works there at the moment, who works there at the moment, like always look for people who is working there, try to talk to them, and what are they passionate about. Sometimes it's like if you show the passion, also they will hire you. And also research your manager and boss. Sometimes it's not only just getting the job, it's also the struggle afterwards. Like in the end, you will be working with only with your boss. Like if you could impress your boss, then your life is actually good. So these are things you should do. And presentation, it's like, I mean, as I said, it's online nowadays. So the first visual impression, make it like not too colorful, or use some color sometime. For standard CVs, use plain A4 paper. Since it's online, we don't need to check your spelling. Use bullet points and bold font in moderation. Formatting, make sure it's consistent, and the font style is like 10 to 12. Don't go less or above. And as I said, like use Arial or Calibri. Focus on accomplishments, like what you have accomplished, and target your CV to the job or company. Use short and concise sentences. Don't write paragraphs, and always consider your audience. You put yourself in the shoes of a recruiter. Okay. So references, it really depends. Like they will help you to elaborate, like evaluate you the caliber. I mean, references like whom you have worked with. Sometimes if you're in academia, or you are even going into industry, just get at least one academic reference, or maybe your manager, or otherwise wherever you are, get at least two. And when you give references, some email addresses, you always tell the referees that you have given their reference, their email address for as reference, because sometimes you just give them and they don't know. And when they get calls, or sometimes they will be like, they may not be ready, or they may just give the negative reference to you. Or you can also say references available on request. Sometimes they always people struggle to have good references. So at that time, you just put like references available on request. Then afterwards, once the recruiter is asking for that, you could get some references. They could be confidential or open letters. People try to be. It's better to be confidential, because you don't know what the you know how things are being judged back of you. Okay, cover letters. So every job, usually there is a CV which is accompanied by cover letters and also well structured emails. So in the cover letters, always use dear doctor, like use the salutation. Like never say like hey hi. I mean, I get sometimes like hey hi, like I apply now, I advertise for an intern, and people are, oh my god, I'm like PFA, find my email. So all kind of these abbreviations, I immediately say reject. So never send a naked CV. Always accompany that with a cover letter. So the cover letter is at least a single page, a simple cover letter addressing directly to the employer who is hiring. So directly addressed to the employer, and use any reference to the company or person you know. So it's always like people love to know the you already know somebody in insider. So in the reference, try to use that people whom you already know in the company. And then the final slide. So networking, I can take a whole session about it. But CVs, cover letters, they are all one part, but networking is just completely another part. It's all about the contacts whom you know, and it could be the experience where you get. It could be the course friends, or the kindergarten. For example, for me, EIT Health alumni helped quite a lot to get my job at the EIT Health. So this is all because of networking. And social media sites like LinkedIn is nowadays the best platform for job search, because everybody on LinkedIn. I mean, Xing was so popular in Germany, but nowadays LinkedIn is picking up. And also go to events like paid events or free events, local or non-local events. This is where you get to meet people all the time. Have business cards. I mean, in US, I think people have the business cards, and once you go to the event and come back, keep in touch with the people. And also, like as I said, LinkedIn or any platforms or YouTube, just try to create some content where people see you, where they get to know your work. There are a couple of videos for networking tips and tricks, but today we don't have time. So thanks for the opportunity, and I'm kind of open now for the questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jagadish. Super interesting insights. Um, I think something that's weird, I mean, for me anyway, I didn't really ever have any classes about how to build a CV in school or in university, which seems like the perfect time to learn these things rather than just going blindly out into the world and hoping you've put the right content on some paper.
Thanks, Robin. Are there any
I
questions?
did, yeah, I saw a couple. One from Cord saying, I think talking about the machine readability you mentioned, which is also something I hadn't really considered before. So is there a way or a website to check the machine readability of one CV?
I think that you just type ATS. I also don't know how this, if there are any softwares that are available outside, but it's job words that are in the job description. You check for the words and try to make sure that this kind of words are displayed in your CV or cover letter.
So you can just basically make sure that the keywords from the kind of the job post are also included
Exactly.
in your application.
Yeah. This was like for me. I think when I was applying after, like I think after PhD, when one HR told me like you need to use the job words, it was like I was blown away. It's like, why words? I'm very well qualified. Let's say I mean in EIT Health we had something called ontology. In
Yeah,
ontology it will pick it up if you write artificial intelligence. It will also pick up machine learning. But what if ontology was not there?
yeah, yeah. It's a
You
good
need to
point.
use the same word. Yeah.
I imagine more often these days it's just being scanned by a computer rather than a person.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any more questions in the chat or in the Q&A. If anyone wants to drop any in, just feel free.
Liana.
One thing from my side,
Mhm.
there was some discussions about language and things like that, but one thing from my side was more about the division between the cover letter and the CV. So how do you decide which content should be in the CV and what should be in the cover letter?
So the cover
Or should it
letter,
be a kind of replication?
no, cover letter is also called as motivation letter. You know, the motivation letter, or even sometimes called statement of purpose. So the thing is that these names itself will talk. When you say motivation letter, you need to tell what motivated you to apply for this job and what fits for this role. So CV will not answer this thing. CV is just a list of experiences, and you put little things there, but not much. And the cover letter where you go in depth, where you talk like how your background will fit into the future role that you are picking up, which you are taking up, and also like really showing your passion in cover letter. So I mean, I saw simple cover letters like just three letters, three sentences. I saw cover letters which are like 10 pages. So there's no standard formula, but in the end it's all about showing your passion and your motivation.
Okay, makes
Yeah.
sense. So really more the motivation really connected to that position in that company
Yeah,
rather than just something
exactly.
generic.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we should not use cover letter. Maybe we just use motivation letter or statement of purpose. Then
Makes it clearer.
exactly, yeah.
Cool,
Definitely
thank you.
academia and industry CVs. So this is very important. Like in academia, we need to write our publications and techniques that what we know, because these are the things that are really used, especially when you are getting from PhD to postdoc, and there you definitely have to tell what kind of techniques you know, and also some kind of scientific jobs. Like there are some recruiters in Germany who are kind of recruiting scientists nowadays, and they look at the techniques and the papers what you have in the industrial CV. You don't need to show them, because most of the time they are not looking at your publications or not your techniques what you know, especially when you are coming out of the science. Like for example, I'm a program manager or business developer. Nobody cares that what techniques I know or what publications I have.
Cool, I'll just see if there's any. I see one more from Yolanda. Do you recommend to use the wording of the job description in both the CV and the cover letter or motivation letter? Literally the way they write it. So basically just word for word using the wording of the job description in your cover letter.
I mean, somehow you need to fit them. You should not copy and paste, but they have to be contextually arranged. Yeah. So
But so using the exact words really.
trying to be at least like try to cover 80% of the letters, 80% of the words. So the machine reads through, or even I mean, sometimes when I talk to HRs, like they're so blunt. They don't even check like how much experience we have. It's all about what is fitting with the job description. Yeah, I had one conversation with Merck HR a long back, and it was so horrible. Even the experienced candidates were not picked because they did not list out the things. Great. Soham Datta wrote like 5-page CV. I want to work in Jagadish company. Oh my god. Great. Great.
If
Anything
there's no
else?
more questions from the audience, feel free to drop them in. I don't think there's any more just now, but yeah, thank you very much, Jagadish. Super insightful. Hopefully everybody can, again, use the emojis to give Jagadish a quick round of applause. I see some coming in. That's nice. Nice to see. Thank you. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining. This is the kind of last session of day one. So now, the lounge is still open. You can feel free to head back and network and chat to people, continue scheduling meetings over the next few days if you want. We will see each other again tomorrow at 5 p.m. again, CET. So starting off with another welcome session and then moving into the panel discussion on the topic of One Health. So we have some speakers from Climate Kick, some speakers from EIT Health, some externals talking about their own perspective on One Health. So it should be an interesting session. And then we have the networking and speed dating, so you can get a chance to really interact with your fellow members. So for now, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jagadish, for the session.
Sure, Robin.
Good to see you all. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.